Hello, geeks, freaks, and all those unique. This is EmceeFrodis. It's been a long time since we had anything in the MCU. I mean, it's only been like a year and a half. But considering the consistency in which the MCU comes out with stuff, it feels like forever. So on Friday, everybody was looking forward to seeing the first two episodes of the first MCU television show, WandaVision. And this is going to be my review of it. So the first two episodes, which I'm actually not sure if they have names. I think they were just episode 1 and episode 2. Now, I'm not going to explain the premise of WandaVision, mostly because I don't know what the premise of WandaVision is yet, other than the fact that something is happening to Wanda and Vision involving TV sitcoms, which is very strange. Not because they're stuck in sitcoms, but because Vision is dead and has been for several movies now. But in the first episode, we start out with riffing on Dick Van Dyke, and Wanda and Vision, come to their new neighborhood and, immediately have to impress the boss. So we get a very traditional 50s sitcom episode where, there's lots of misunderstandings and just very domestic kind of goofiness. But during all of this, there is these confusing moments where it's like they don't really know how they got there. They don't have a wedding day. They don't have rings, any of this kind of stuff. They've kind of just, come out of nowhere. And it doesn't seem like Wanda and Vision are covering up their history. It feels like they literally don't know it. The only thing they really know about themselves is that he's a robot and she's got special powers. But other than that, they don't really know anything about their history as the Avengers. And in episode 2, we get into a parody of Bewitched, where you have, Wanda and Vision needing to be in a magic show and not use their powers, except then they end up using their powers because something happens to Vision. Very much, I enjoyed these episodes. When I was growing up, we did not have just the deluge of content that we do now, where, it's hard to keep up. When we were kids, we did watch a lot of these reruns of these 50s and 60s shows, so I, know where they're coming from with these. That being said, I think they did a really good job of riffing on both, the way the production is done, like with the aspect ratio is done to the classic TV sitcoms. They do practical effects rather than the CGI that would be done in a Marvel movie. They're having things on wires and everything, and the way Vision changes his appearance is very much in line with what they would have done in the 50s and 60s. However, my problem with these first two episodes, and obviously I can only comment on these first two, is that they're trying to change the premise of the show to fit all of these homages that they're doing, the Dick Van Dyke Show and Bewitched. But the general premise of the show is that Vision's a robot, Wanda's she's a mutant. I know it's different in the MCU, but she's a mutant. And I think that, speculation spoiler, I think that she's going to be a mutant again soon, now that we've got the X-Men back in the Marvel Universe. So the premise of the show is that he's a robot, she's a mutant, they've got to hide their powers from other people. By putting that premise on both the Dick Van Dyke Show and Bewitched, the differentiation between them kind of blurred, because the thing that made Bewitched stand out amongst all of these sitcoms was the fact that Samantha had powers. It was a sitcom. It was a typical domestic sitcom. It just so happened that the wife had powers. So while I understood what they were doing, it felt like they were hitting a lot of the same beats in the first 2 episodes, and that was a little bit frustrating to me. I think that this is something that they will get over. Obviously, episode 3, which I have not seen. I know some people got screeners of it. I am terribly, terribly not qualified for getting screeners. But we can see at the end of episode 2 that they're moving over to color, and based on the previews, it looks like they're going to be riffing on the Brady Bunch, and I think that the sitcoms of the 50s and the 60s had a lot more in common with each other, and then kind of when you move into the 70s, then you're getting a lot more of a different flavor of sitcom. So I think that they're going to be able to change things up a lot more. And not only that, I think we're going to get more of exactly what's happening. Because obviously, I haven't talked about that yet. I've just been talking about the trappings that they're in. But obviously, this is being caused by something. We don't know what. But we're getting hints of it throughout the episodes. The fact that they don't know where they came from. And we have like these commercials in between things that kind of reference things in Wanda's life. Like the Stark tech, which is a reference to the bomb that nearly killed her and Pietro. And the Strucker watch, which is a reference to, Baron von Strucker, who gave Wanda her powers. And then we get into things, like we see that somebody seems to be watching what's going on with Wanda through a TV, and it seems to be SWORD, which is a group from the Marvel comics. They are, in the comics, the like the space version of S.H.I.E.L.D. But I'm going to guess that here they're doing something different with them. Because, we've kind of already got the space thing covered. Actually, S.H.I.E.L.D. seems to be doing that if we're, looking at Far From Home with Fury and Talos. So maybe SWORD is more going to be dealing with this interdimensional stuff, which is obviously, we know that this is coming. WandaVision seems to be what's going to be introducing it, but we know that that's going to be coming in the new Doctor Strange movie, the Multiverse of Madness, and Spider-Man, what I hear is being called Homeworlds. So a lot of stuff is going to be dealing with the multiverse, so it would not surprise me if SWORD is involved with all of that. Somehow it has to do with Wanda. We don't know what, though. We do hear a voice over a radio, asking Wanda, what are they doing to you? So we don't know who that is. We don't know who is doing what. And I thought Wanda was doing this herself, but maybe she's not. I don't know. But we kind of get more intrusions from, the real world into this sitcom world, where we see, the SWORD helicopter, and at one of the people has a glass break in her hand, and it's blood red rather than black and white. And then, of course, at the very end, we see this beekeeper, and obviously, Wanda has some sort of ability to alter the world, because she's able to actually rewind things so that she never encounters this person. So, I don't know, maybe Wanda's running away from them. She's created this world. There's a lot of things that, if you know comics, there's a lot of speculation that can be made. Famously, Wanda changed all of reality in House of M. She changed the world so that mutants were the superior race. Mutants, like I said, do not exist yet in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I do believe they're coming. and it may be connected to this somehow. Somebody did point out that the wine bottle in the first episode was House of something, and it was an M name. And I can't remember what, but they did have like something that could be construed as a House of M reference. Obviously, Wanda is pregnant at the end of episode 2, and we've seen in previews that they're going to have kids. They're going to have twins, so this is going to lead to Speedy and Wiccan. I think that are their names. I can't remember them off the top of my head. I really should have looked this stuff up before I got into things, but it does seem to me like they are leaning very heavily into the comics, which is fine. They've done that before. They've referenced a lot of stuff in the comics, and this is certainly being done differently. I think bringing the kids in, they've been talking for years, or there's been speculation for a long time that they want to do the Young Avengers, which we do have Ant-Man's daughter, Cassie Lang, and possibly Morgan Stark. I mean, who knows? Like, I mean, she's very young right now, but she's also fairly precocious, and who knows how fast they're going to have time pass. And for Hawkeye, it's well known that they're going to be bringing Kate Bishop in. So you have lots of people who are being set up from the Young Avengers, including Speedy and Wiccan. So I don't think that this is just like an Easter egg. I think they are setting things up for the future. There's just so much stuff. Like, it's weird. Like, there is so little in this, but then there is so much to talk about. I think the best thing about this was the performances of the actors. Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany really got a chance to stretch themselves in a way that they have not in the MCU before, because they've always been very firm supporting characters, and they didn't get a lot of, meat in their storyline, and this is focused on them. In particular, it's focused on Wanda, and I think that Elizabeth Olsen is going to do some really incredible things, and I can't wait to see that. The supporting cast, in particular, Catherine Hahn, who I adore. She's so funny. And I think she's the perfect person to bring into this, as the neighbor with the annoying husband that we never see. Very much a sitcom trope. But there is obviously something more with her, because we have gotten hints of that. And there has been a lot of just outright, stating who she is, which I'm not going to get into in this, episode, because I think we're going to find out soon. And that is like a spoiler for the future. So anybody who doesn't know it, I'd rather they just didn't. But I look forward to seeing more of her, because I do like her. It looks like this is going to tie a lot with other things in the MCU. I think this is really going to bring things together in a way that we have not seen yet. And I think doing this in this format is really interesting, because this is not a superhero story. This is a sitcom story. While the MCU has played around with genre, it's never played around with genre to this extent. Everything has been action and adventure. It's just been kind of different flavors of action and adventure. Like, you get your political thriller, or you get your, 80s, Flash Gordon-y kind of throwback with, Thor Ragnarok. But all of that stuff was still kind of the same superhero-y thing. Meanwhile, this is just not that at all, and certainly it will have elements of that, but it's always going to have like that sitcom-y aspect to it. And I look forward to seeing how all of this plays out. I think that if it hits the same notes that it does in the first 2 episodes, it will get repetitive very quickly, but I don't think they're going to be doing that. I have seen non-spoilery reviews about episode 3 that have said that they do kind of break the mold of, what's been happening in the first 2 episodes. Like, the first 2 are just setting things up. And we get more of the mystery. So it's not going to be kind of samey. And I look forward to that, because I don't think that you could have sustained what they were doing for 13 episodes. But once they move past it, I think it's going to end up becoming something really brilliant that's totally new to the MCU. And I really think we need that, because we've done so many movies at this point. We need to change up what we're doing. Otherwise, it's going to get stale. For a lot of people, it's already gotten stale. And you're putting it into this new medium of television. So something needs to change. It can't just be the same old storytelling, because you're not making a movie. That being said, I still think that there are some trappings of movies that they haven't quite gotten rid of. And one of the big things for that is the credits. And, like, I get that streaming shows are not bound by, the limit, by time limits to fit into time slots. But I find it absolutely galling that there's a 36-minute episode of a television show, and 7 minutes of that are credits. That's just not right. Because they have not altered the opening to, or actually they did alter the opening. The Marvel Studios logo, they use the same one that they do in the movies, except they do end up turning it into black and white and putting it into the right aspect ratio. And I think they have added some stuff from the later movies. But it's the same lengths, and it's basically the same thing, just with some new bits into it. And then at the very end of the show, they have, like, these very complex credits that you would kind of expect on one of their movies. But then you also have the parody, here's our Bewitched and here's our Dick Van Dyke credits, because, credits were very big during those times. So you have a lot of these episodes dedicated to credits. And I don't like, if you're going to have a half an hour episode, you can't make the credits that fucking long. It's excessively long. And I know this is like, it's not a real complaint, because it's not like the credits are eating into actual episode time, because they're going to make the episodes as long as they need to be. But it stood out to me. But I'm very much looking forward to watching more episodes of this show. I think the first 2 were okay. I think that they did hook me. I think that there was a little bit of a problem of not having the right cliffhanger element to it to make me be like, oh my god, I absolutely need to see the next episode. But I'm interested. So I think that this is not going to be for everyone, but it is for me. And I think I'm going to become more invested in this as the weeks progress. So, WandaVision, big thumbs up from me. What do you think of WandaVision? Comment down below. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be doing more Marvel videos, as well as Star Trek, Supernatural, Star Wars, Doctor Who, and many other things. If you want to support this channel, please go to my Patreon, where you can get early access to videos and other things. You can also buy me a coffee. If you'd like something to wear, you can buy a t-shirt from my Redbubble or TeePublic. Today I am wearing my Destiel is Canon shirt. So until next time, live long and may the Force be with you.